Tell me why my lips are so fucking crunchy. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Ashley and it's Monday, which means it's Mental Health Monday. I will be covering various topics centered around mental health, wellness, and personal growth to help you guys with some of your life experiences, and hopefully you guys can learn from some of mine because I made some mistakes in my life. So hopefully you don't have to make the same one. Before I begin, I just want to start by saying I do have a background in psych, but I am in no way a licensed professional. If you are really struggling, please go seek a professional, and I will put the little hotline, the crisis hotline right here as well. That being said, let's get into today's video. That's really hard to say. Into today. You try and say that. So I told you guys in my little I'm back video or whatever the heck you want to call that, I've been working on some things, and when I say things, I mean my whole life. And I would love to say that it was consistent, that it was just me steadily the entire time, just progressing into ascendance until I'm just this wonderful being who has figured everything out. But it's literally I do really good and then I fuck everything up, and then I do really good and I fuck everything up. So lately I've been in the phase of I'm trying to do really good, right? Because I just got out of fucking everything up. So I was I'm gonna put this little schedule together. I'm gonna get my life together. So I came up with this morning routine and a night routine because now that I mentioned in the video that I live in a different state. Well, I moved from Wisconsin to Colorado. So now I'm working at a psych hospital again, but it's just in Colorado now, and I work PMs. So it's been just really hard for me to adjust because I'm used to working days, and I've done nothing but sleep. I literally just sleep, and then I go to work, and then I come home from work, and then I sleep. And so I was I gotta get my shit together because I can't live like this. So I decided I was gonna put together a little schedule for myself where I can be more productive, but also be rested enough to go to work. And part of that schedule was prepping meals, for the next day when I got home from work. So I was prepping this meal, right? And this was day 2. This was day 2 of my new schedule. I can show it to you guys in another video or maybe at the end of this one, whatever. It's really not that important. But it was day 2 of me following this new schedule, trying to be that bitch, trying to be put together. I don't know if that's in the cards for me, but I'm trying, okay? And I will always be trying. And I'm making dinner, right? And it's a corned beef can. But it's one of those old school cans that has the little key at the bottom of the can that you have to twist, right? So I'm twisting, I'm doing my thing. I'm let me cook this meal. And I fucking slice through my entire finger. Slice right through it. Slice right the motherfucker right through it. I was so pissed because I was and it was silly because I did everything else right that day. I really did. Everything else that I wanted to do on my schedule, I got taken care of that day. I did so good. My DoorDash is here. My chicken nuggets are here. Everything else I did that day was fine. I followed my schedule, and the day before, I did great with my schedule, and it made me feel so good to get it done. But I sliced my finger, and I was fuck it. If I can't do it perfect, then I'm not going to follow the schedule at all. The rest of the schedule went out the window. There went my listening to affirmations that night. There went my stretching before bed. There went my tea, all of it, because I cut my finger. Which leads me to today's topic. I'm learning that as I try and film that I don't think I know how to talk. It leads me to today's topic, which is perfectionism. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna pause this video really quick so that I can go and get those chicken nuggets. So I'll be right back. Anyways, now that my appetite has been satiated, we can get back to business. So I never really saw myself as a perfectionist because I mess up all the time. Like I'm not organized. Like I'm not the person that like always has everything done right the first time. So I was like, there's no way. Like I'm not a perfectionist, right? And it turns out that's not right. So today we're kind of going to talk about like what it actually means to be a perfectionist and how that can affect you and kind of how to identify if you are one or if you have some of the traits. So we're just going to go through 5 of the traits and then we're going to talk about how it can affect your life and what potential causes are for like that need to be perfect. So the first trait we're going to talk about is the all or nothing mentality. This is the belief that if you cannot do it all in one go and you cannot do it all perfectly, then it's not worth doing it all. For me, my first thing that comes to mind is when I'm cleaning. If I cannot scrub every like inch of the wall, dust all the floors, make sure every piece of laundry gets done and make sure all the dishes are done and scrub the floors and all of it. It has to all be done. Otherwise, I'm not going to clean. Like for me, it doesn't feel good enough to just like pick up and tidy up around the house. Like I need to devote a day to deep cleaning or my house is a disaster. My apartment, let's be real, I don't own a house. But that can apply to things that are obviously a little more serious too, like, and it can lead to procrastination, which can often leave you feeling like you can't accomplish anything or like you're not good at anything, you know what I mean? Because you just feel like you can never finish the task, and it's not a matter of not actually being able to finish the task, it's just not being able to get started, honestly, like because you refuse to do it unless you can do it perfectly. The next trait we're going to talk about is toxic comparisons. Nobody's perfect. I gotta work it again and again till I get it right. Honestly, comment the artist. Comment who sings that song. Because if you don't know, you just gotta exit out. You're not part of the crew. Anyways, back to business. Nobody's perfect. So if you find yourself falling into the thinking trap of either comparing yourself to other people or even comparing yourself to your old self, like that's something I struggle with, where I'll be like, oh, I used to be able to do X, Y, and Z, and now I'm exhausted from A, B, and C, and that's not really fair for yourself, because it's like you're setting such an unrealistic standard to yourself that you're always going to feel like a failure. So it's not that you're not good enough, it's just that your expectations are completely unreasonable. And I know that's like the worst thing you can say to someone, like you're being completely unreasonable, but it's true. Listen to it. Were you in a situation where you were so stressed out all the time that it was an escape to you to be working constantly or to be exercising constantly? Because that's different than like having the will to do something or having the strength to do something. Like it was a coping skill. What factors in your life or in someone else's life might make them have more access to certain things that make it easier for them to accomplish the things that you are trying to accomplish? So you have to be reasonable with your comparisons to other people, and also not kick yourself in the asshole for your mistakes. I think everyone kind of like is a little disappointed in themselves, but if you find yourself like literally tearing yourself apart, first of all, you're not alone, because when I mess up, I do the same thing. I'll sit there and I'll be like, it'll literally be, oh, I forgot to wash a dish, and then it's like, oh, well, you should have washed it right away after you used it. Why did you sit and wait to wash it? See, now you're lazy, and you should have done this, and you should have done that, and all of a sudden I'm a horrible person because I didn't wash a fucking dish. Like, we've all been there, okay? It's not that big of a deal, but it feels like it is, and that's back to that being a trait of perfectionism. Next trait number 3 that we are going to be talking about is fear-driven goals. You are so focused on the end goal, which is usually only to avoid perceived failure, perceived embarrassment. It's not necessarily something that's truly for yourself. It's not a matter of being proud of yourself truly. It's just like, oh, just another accomplishment to add. So for that reason, you focus more on your end goal than the journey. So you find yourself never being satisfied. You're always like, I gotta accomplish this, and you work and you work and you work, and you don't realize all the things that you're learning and all the things that you should be grateful for along the way all you're focused on is the goal. So when you get to that goal, you feel empty. You're always chasing something because all of your value in yourself is based off of what you can accomplish. So if you find yourself feeling that way, you might be a perfectionist. The next trait that we're going to talk about is trait number 4, which is the inability to ask for help. And it can be for one of two reasons. I mean, probably multiple other reasons, but the two main ones usually are that you don't want to show that you need help because that shows that you can't do it all by yourself. And so it's like a pride thing, like you have to be perfect, you have to be good enough to handle it all. Or you worry that somebody else is not going to be able to do it as perfectly as you would like it to be done. And I struggle with this with cleaning. Once again, cleaning. It makes it sound like I'm a super neat person, but I swear to God, I'm so messy. But once again, it goes back to that all or nothing thinking trap, whatever. But and I'm sure many of you can relate to this, and that person who gets frustrated because I feel like I'm the only one that cleans, I'm the only one that does this. But if anybody ever asks to help me with that, I'm not gonna let you help me. Why? Because you don't clean the way I like you to clean. So that could be another trap that you get yourself stuck in because you have that perfectionist mindset. And finally, the 5th trait we're going to talk about is being critical of others. So a lot of times if you have like this mindset that things need to be perfect, then you can project that onto other people, especially the things that you're most insecure about. So for example, I'm really insecure about social situations. I mad social anxiety, and I a lot of times worry that I'm doing too much to fit in. So that's a trait I really don't like because I want to be able to be natural. So a lot of times I'll project that insecurity by being super agitated by people who are like over the top and way too like try hard to be social and whatever, instead of being accepting of them and realizing that, oh, they probably have social anxiety too. It's a part of me that I don't like. So when I see that mirrored in someone else, my knee-jerk reaction is to like be irritated, like, why is that person like that? And then I have to kind of stop myself and be like, you know why they're like that, because you're like that too. Like, that's what you look like, girl. But we don't want to talk about that because it's not about me, it's about you, right? Wrong. So if you have that perfectionist mindset, a lot of times you'll be very judgmental of other people, and sometimes even unaware that you're doing it. You really just think like, I would never act like that, so it's annoying that somebody else acts like that. But really look into yourself, because I bet you probably act like that. If you relate to any of the 5 traits we talked about, then either you're a perfectionist too, or you got a little bit of it in you. And I know what you're thinking, like, so what? So I like things to be good. So what's the issue with that? Well, I'm here to tell you. If you are constantly worrying about things not being good enough and things not being right and putting things off, you're going to lower your self-esteem, because your whole issue is that you want to do things well. And so being afraid of not doing them well and pushing them off and not doing them at all is going to make you feel like even more of a failure. This can lead to issues like low self-esteem, poor productivity, anxiety, all of that, just because you want everything to be perfect. And I know like people kind of sometimes will look at that in like almost a glamorous way, but really there's nothing glamorous about it. I know that a lot of people want to be the person who always shows up looking nice and always eats healthy and goes to the gym and works out, but like a lot of times you're living with a lot of pressure and a lot of anxiety. So what causes people to feel the need to be that way? There's a few things. A lot of times it can be adverse childhood experiences. So if you were picked on a lot in school, or you didn't quite fit in, and then you kind of felt the need to like correct yourself until you did fit in, or if your family or somebody that you looked up to was constantly putting you down and you kind of feel the need to meet their standards, a lot of times it can just be low self-esteem. You know, if you feel like you're not good enough, you're always going to be trying to be better and better and better. But let me tell you what, and this is a very disappointing one, nobody on this planet will ever be able to be perfect. You just can't do it. You just can't. And I know you hear that and it's almost like a challenge, because that's me. That's me all the way. I'm like, oh, I can't. Watch me. But it's not. It's really not possible. And it's really not worth the struggle and the destruction that you cause yourself trying to get there. So that leads me to today's assignment, which is for you to reflect on your driving forces in life. What is holding you back from doing the things you want to do? Because you can't do it perfectly. Well, if you did it perfectly, then you wouldn't learn anything. If you could do it perfectly, it would be done already, right? Every mistake you make is something that you can learn. Evaluate your reasons. Are they reasons or are they excuses? Because you're afraid of failing. So that's my assignment for today. Reflect on your goals, figure out what's holding you back, decide if what's holding you back is realistic. And then in next week's video, we are going to talk about some things you can do to make living with a perfectionist mindset a little more practical. Get your homework done. I'll see you guys next week with some tips. If you feel like you related to anything in this video or you learned anything new, comment down below, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!